When I was saying in my previous videos that the AI and tech scene is on fire right now, I wasn't kidding. Now we see the US making big decisions and they're actually saying that Meta and YouTube are contributing to big mental health issues. And they know it. Many experts say this can change social media forever. And if it will change social media, it will also definitely change AI. So guys, this is actually crazy. This is a lawsuit and this is actually them being found guilty as per this news that we were gonna just see today. This is still emerging. This is insane to find that actually big companies are now held accountable for what they're doing. This is happening right now as we speak, but how will it change the AI scene is also something to be determined. There are many studies that says that AI actually affects mental health, and this is a subject up to discussion. So as you can see guys, the AI and tech scene are on fire right now, so make sure you're subscribed to catch up with all the latest. Guys, we have a big video today, but before we jump into the video, I want to thank our sponsor, Elodan.com, our sponsor of this video. This is Elodan.com guys. This is a really interesting website. You can do text to image, image to image, text to video, image to video, and text to voice. So actually you can also chat. You can chat with AI using all the models that you need. Elodan is very smooth guys. You have to try it out. It has everything you need. You can chat, you can create images, you can create videos. This tool can help you with anything you do in your life. So make sure to head to Elodan.com right now and get the offer. You can get 500 credits for just $9.99. Now back to the video. Alright, so today's video is why Meta and YouTube lawsuit could trigger the end of social media as we know it. The end of social media, guys. I mean, this is good news, right? Like I saw some of the comments on this video before I watch it. People are saying, oh, don't threaten me with good time. Why are you threatening me with good time? Social media right now is not social media anymore. As Gary Vee said, this is interest media, not social media. Back in the day, you download social medias and you contact your friends, you contact your family. This was the point of social media. Is it like that anymore? Do you contact your families on social media or just post? No, it's now interest media. It's now your whole feed is filled with people who you don't actually follow. So what's the point of following? They are changing the whole social media scheme in a very big way, and it's no more social media, it's interest media. Take this from Gary Vee. He said it's no more social media, it is interest media. So we will jump into this video right now and we will see what people are saying about it, what the news are saying.
Welcome back. We are following breaking news, a verdict in the landmark case addressing the power and influence of social media. A Los Angeles jury today finding Meta and YouTube negligent in the design or operation of their platforms and saying the companies failed to warn users of the dangers of their services. The jurors found that the tech giant's platforms harmed a young user with features that made her addicted and led to mental health problems. The trial, which included testimony from Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg, was the first lawsuit.
This guy, how many times this guy go to the jury? Like we saw this scene, I don't know, 10 times
of its kind to go to trial. In separate statements, Meta and Google, YouTube's parent company, saying they disagree with today's verdict and plan to appeal. Today's verdict comes just one day after a jury in New Mexico ordered Meta to pay $375 million after determining that Meta concealed what it knew about child sexual exploitation on its platform.
God.
Meta says it plans to appeal that verdict.
Mexico's doing it. Mexico's doing it. Why not the US is doing it also?
Joining me now is Jacob Ward, veteran technology journalist and host of the Rip Current podcast. He's also the author of The Loop, How Technology is Creating a World Without Choice and How to Fight Back. Jacob, thanks so much for joining me. So let's talk about today's big verdict. What was your big takeaway?
Well, Kristen, this is really, I mean, for me, it is I get goosebumps as I say it. It is truly a historic moment. I really think that this is
this guy
on a par with.
He says, I got goosebumps when I said it. Come on, man. This is why are you overreacting, man? Please. All right.
Figuring out that cigarettes cause cancer or that we needed to have seatbelts in cars. This is a huge societal shift that we're seeing
It is. It
unfolding
is.
in front
It
of
is.
us really in real time. And as a result, you know, I think this is the end of social media as we know it, and it is definitely the end of childhood as we have come to accept it. We are seeing for the very first time a social media company found liable, in this case two of them, found liable
Yep.
for the design choices they made and for, as a result, addicting kids in a harmful way to their product. This is
I get it with Meta because of the whole Instagram thing, but with YouTube, I don't get it. Maybe YouTube Shorts. They're talking about YouTube Shorts, or maybe YouTube Kids, because they have their own branch for kids content. But I don't know. I can see it in Meta, of course. Meta is full of flaws, but YouTube I don't actually see that much.
something that was unimaginable even a few years ago because these companies have enjoyed such powerful legal protections until now.
Yep.
Now this new legal theory opens up an entirely new can of worms, one that consists of more than 1,600 cases that are now going to come down on one or more of these companies, Kristen.
Wow. Well, it's really striking to hear you describe it in that context, Jacob. So paint a picture for me. You say this is the end of social media as we know it. What does that look like in our society?
Well, until now, right, we've treated our attention and by extension our behavior as, first of all, something that you and I are supposed to be entirely in control of ourselves, right? We've been sort of the opinion that somehow the choices you and I make are totally our own and can't really be shaped by anybody. But then, of course, what we saw was the rise of an industry that has made its business analyzing and shaping behavior at scale wherever possible. And this is not to say that they had nefarious ideas in mind. They just had discovered that our attention is an incredibly profitable product to traffic in. And so in this case, we're just looking at now a jury that, you know, even a few years ago might not have been able to wrap their minds around the idea that we can have this kind of harm by the design of a platform. That was such an abstract concept. As someone who tries to articulate that concept as often as I do, you know,
That's very true, guys, because when you think about it, UI designs are made in a certain way to be addictive. And it's not only for kids, that's the problem. That's the main problem, it's not only for kids. When will companies actually prioritize human mental health? When will this happen? It's not like it will not affect your cash in, bro. It will not affect that. The whole mindset of we have to make our stuff addicting so that we get more money does not work anymore. Does not work. Because people run away from anything addictive right now. I know friends that do that. Me personally, if I find something addictive, I delete it. You don't want that. And this is why I think they implement some features like the screen time features. When you use YouTube too much, it can give you like a notification. Hey man, close the app. But this is to just hide the fact that they are creating an addictive product. So they're just giving new features that can help your mental health and mental illness. So you don't think that these apps are hurting my mental illness. So you think, if this app is actually hurting my mental illness, why are they putting up a feature that makes me stop using the app? So it's all a psychology game. But if you actually care about mental health, you will design the app in a way that doesn't affect people's mental health. For example, on YouTube, the whole recommendations, you can't remove them. You can't remove the recommendation videos on YouTube. You can't remove it. They're just there. You have to install a plugin and do a lot of hacking stuff to remove them. But for normal users, they can't. So you always find the next video to watch, which is addicting.
spent years trying to get people to understand even the idea that there are armies of experts inside these companies working on that kind of idea. And now suddenly you have a jury of our peers suddenly understanding that, it seems, and as a result finding these two companies liable. So this could absolutely rewrite the rules. Now, will that be a rewriting of the rules that everyone will be happy with? I don't think so, right? We have enormous First Amendment issues that are going to come up with this. And you know that Meta and YouTube are going to fight tooth and nail because this is an existential threat to the way they do business.
They will.
This is not over by any stretch, but I think that the era of treating our behavior as an infinite product to mine, that era is over, I think.
It's just really powerful to hear you talk about it in those terms. You talk about the profits. Let's talk about the profits of these companies. Meta is worth more than $1 trillion. YouTube is worth more than $500 billion. Its parent company, Alphabet Inc., is worth more than $3 trillion. Could these companies just absorb the cost and keep doing business, find a way to keep doing business as usual?
I mean, when we look, Kristen, at the individual judgments here, right, you're looking at a $375 million judgment in New Mexico, and that's a slightly different issue. It is a different issue than the one that was settled in L.A., but both of them sort of surround the idea that there is harm being done and a responsibility on the part of the companies. In both of those cases, right, you're looking at numbers that really are a rounding error in the balance sheets of these companies, of course, right? The $3 million judgment for this one plaintiff in L.A., no way. But you look at the 350 other family cases coming down the pipeline. You look at the 200, that those alone. If you
so what he's saying that this lawsuit will not affect them, will not affect them that much. But the future of lawsuits and the future of people waking up and actually going to make lawsuits, to file lawsuits against them. So the future is what's scary for them right now, not what's happening right now. And because what you're talking about millions of dollars, I don't think they care about millions of dollars. It's just like, okay, take the millions of dollars.
Use this math, $3 million per plaintiff, that ends up being in the billions, right? Or at least over $1 billion. If you look at the math of the school districts, 250 of which are lined up to file suit, and you think about thousands of students per school district, you're suddenly getting to some very large numbers. And so whether these companies can afford this in a dollars and cents way, I think we'll figure that out. Time will tell. But the incentive, which they did not face before now, is to change the way they do business because there is suddenly liability. In the United States, Kristen, we don't make a lot of changes to how companies do business, or companies don't make a change unless there's financial harm. This was an industry so enormous that we couldn't have imagined doing enough financial harm to make it possible for them to even consider changing. Now those incentives are shifting in a way that we haven't seen, I would say, since the era of big tobacco, since the era of lead paint, right? These are enormous kinds of judgments that have to come through for a company to consider changing how they do business. And so I just think that we're probably, even though we're going to see endless appeal, this is not by any means settled in court. I think that it is for the first time operating at a scale that really touches these companies in a very new way.
Look, before I let you go, I do have to shift gears. I want to show you this sort of extraordinary scene at the White House today. An AI-powered robot escorted First Lady Melania Trump into a summit on technology and education, and opened the summit, Jacob, by actually speaking. It's kind of out of a movie. What were your thoughts when you saw this? What do we take from this moment? What are the implications?
I cannot believe that I'm speaking to you on the same day that a jury of 12 people, decided we needed to protect kids in this whole new way, establish this entirely new idea of harm. And at the same time, you've got this imagery going on. I mean, we have the reason we're seeing these court cases move forward is because at the federal level, no one's been willing to make the kinds of laws that democracy has clearly been clamoring for. When I spoke to the Attorney General in the New Mexico case, he said, I don't want to have to do this court case by court case.
Is this the robot that actually does your laundry and do your home services? Is this the same one?
But because we're not getting federal action, we have to. And when you see, I honestly don't know, Christian, but I assume that's Elon Musk's robot, right? When you see the pro-tech cabal that is in the White House now, and the ways in which they are trying to just open the floodgates for that industry. And you compare that to how the first, this jury of our peers has enacted the first real sort of democratic input into what everyday Americans want to see from these sorts of companies. The contrast between these two things could not be starker, Kristen.
All right, Jacob Ward, thank you so.
They now went into politics. Of course, it always ends up into politics. So his point of view that we should slow down tech. And there's many people that thinks that. If you know Bernie Sanders, he always say, guys, slow it down. Let's do first the laws, the strong laws that support what we're doing, the restrictions, because if you open it, as he said, it's going to flood. So you have to apply the rules first, and then technology come after. But right now, there's not much rules that support what the amount of technology and the speed of technology. But on the other side, people are also saying, especially on the right, they're saying, if you wait for the laws to happen, then you're now slowing technology, and China will win the AI race or the tech race. So now we're talking into politics. We know that everything is connected, politics, tech, and everything. But it's interesting, 2 points. I don't know which point to choose, because you need laws before tech, and at the same time you don't want to slow tech. Let me know what you think in the comments, and thank you guys for watching. Make sure to check elodan.com if you want to create anything using AI, elodan.com, and make sure to subscribe, because as you can see, the AI scene is on fire, AI and tech scene, because this has nothing to do with AI. Thank you guys for watching, and goodbye.